All right, so we're diving into tourism in Nepal today.
A fascinating place.
Yeah, you've given me some really interesting sources to work with.
Oh, good.
I think we can kind of get past just like the surface level stuff that most people know about Nepal,
Yeah.
like Mount Everest,
Right.
which we'll definitely talk about.
Of course.
But there's a lot more to
Good.
Nepal than just mountains.
Right off the bat, the geography is just incredible. You go from those Himalayan peaks
Yeah.
to lush valleys,
Yeah.
and then you end up in the Terai region, which is,
Like a jungle, basically.
subtropical jungles.
Wow. So it's like you could go from like
Huh?
hiking in the snow to like
Absolutely.
hanging out with monkeys in a jungle.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's amazing.
It's like stepping into a documentary.
Seriously.
Each region is just completely different.
Wow. And I imagine the culture and history is tied into that geography pretty closely.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, 8 of the world's 14 highest peaks are in Nepal, including Everest, of course.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Himalayas have always been,
Sacred.
a spiritual place
Yeah.
for the people of Nepal.
It makes you wonder, like, how many people have looked up at those mountains for how many centuries
I know.
and just been in awe.
It's a powerful thing,
Yeah.
for both pilgrims and adventurers.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at some of the sources
Yeah.
and they were mentioning the Annapurna Circuit and the Everest Base Camp Trek.
Oh, yeah, those are classics.
And those aren't just like hikes.
No, they're journeys.
Yeah.
You're going through villages. You're seeing how people live.
Meeting the locals, experiencing the culture firsthand.
It's exactly.
Not just like the view,
It's a total immersion.
Yeah.
But, if you want something a little less intense,
Yeah.
the hills are great.
Okay.
You could still trek,
Okay.
see some amazing views.
Yeah.
But it's a gentler pace.
Oh, okay.
So you can really connect with the communities there,
Yeah.
learn about their way of life.
That sounds pretty incredible too.
It is.
Now the Terai region.
Yeah, that's a whole other world.
That's the jungle one, right?
Yes.
It's crazy to me that a country can go from like, the tallest mountains in the world to a jungle.
It really is remarkable.
Like you said, like a National Geographic documentary or something.
Right. And there are national parks down there
Of course.
of wildlife, like Bengal tigers
Oh, wow.
and the one-horned rhinos.
Yeah, I read about that.
Yeah.
Like you could go on like a safari,
Right.
Like Jeep or something?
Yeah, or even by boat.
Oh,
You can
wow.
cruise down the rivers, spot crocodiles.
No way.
It's amazing.
Wow. So Nepal really does have it all,
It does.
from mountains to jungles.
And everything in between.
But we've got to talk about the culture too,
Of course.
because it's not just the scenery that draws people to Nepal.
Right.
It's also the history and the spirituality.
It's a place where Hindu and Buddhist traditions have coexisted for centuries.
Yeah.
You really see that blend everywhere you go.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the sources talked about Lumbini,
Ah, yes.
the birthplace of Buddha.
It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site
Yeah.
and a major pilgrimage destination
Yeah.
for Buddhists from all over the world.
Can you imagine, like, just the
energy
Yeah.
in a place like that.
Yeah, like just the history and the
weight of it all.
Yeah.
And then there's the Kathmandu Valley,
Right.
another UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Okay.
Just incredible architecture.
Oh, yeah.
Palaces,
Yeah.
stupas.
Yeah, pagodas.
Oases.
I was reading about that.
Yeah,
The craftsmanship.
of the newer people.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's amazing how they've preserved their skills and traditions for so long.
Yeah, and it's not just about aesthetics.
Right.
It's like their cultural heritage.
Exactly. It's live.
Yeah.
It's living history.
Yeah.
And we can't forget about the festivals.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Dashane, Tihar, and Holi.
They sound amazing.
They're so vibrant
Yeah.
and full of life.
Yeah.
You really get a sense of the Nepalese culture when you see those celebrations.
Yeah. And the sources mentioned something else that I thought was really interesting.
What's that?
The linguistic diversity.
Oh, yeah.
Over 120 ethnic groups and languages?
In such a small country.
That's amazing.
It is.
It's like a microcosm of the world.
Yeah, it shows you how much diversity there is.
Yeah.
Even within a single country.
It makes you realize how much there is to learn.
Exactly.
So we've got the geography, the history, the spirituality, and just an incredible cultural tapestry.
It's no wonder Nepal is such a popular tourist destination.
Right. It's drawing people from all over the world.
And that brings up some interesting questions
Okay.
about the types of tourism that are most prevalent.
Yeah.
And how they impact Nepal,
Yeah.
both positively and negatively.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
There is.
So I guess that's where we go next.
That's good to me.
Okay, so we've talked about how amazing Nepal is,
Yeah.
but now we got to dive into the different types of tourism happening there.
Yeah, that's key.
Because it's not all just mountain climbers, you know?
Right, like we mentioned before, religious tourism is huge in Nepal.
Yeah.
It's a sacred destination.
Yeah, with that mix of Hinduism and Buddhism.
Exactly.
You know, you got places like Lumbini, the birthplace of Buddha,
Yeah.
and the Pashupatinath Temple,
Yeah.
which is a major Hindu shrine.
And it's interesting because it's not just about those individual sites.
Right.
It's Nepal's history of religious tolerance.
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, you have these two major world religions.
Coexisting.
Yeah, peaceful.
And not just side by side, like they're intertwined into the fabric of society.
Pretty special.
Yeah. And the sources were saying that it goes beyond just Hinduism and Buddhism.
Oh, yeah. You'll find a bunch of different faiths practiced openly.
Really?
Yeah, which makes it even more unique.
For spiritual exploration.
Absolutely.
It makes you think about the impact of that kind of tolerance.
It's powerful.
Yeah, not just for tourism, but like...
on society as a whole.
Yeah,
It's like a model for the world.
Okay, so moving on from religious tourism, what about adventure and sports tourism?
Well, you know, obviously there's climbing Everest.
Yeah.
Which is like the ultimate challenge.
Yeah, but there's so much more.
Oh, yeah. Tons of trekking options.
Yeah.
Whitewater rafting.
Okay.
Paragliding.
Paragliding over like those valleys.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Oh my gosh.
Even bungee jumping.
Really?
Yeah. Near the Tibetan border.
Bungee jumping off like a mountain?
Pretty much.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
So you really can get that adrenaline rush.
Absolutely.
Whether you're like a hardcore mountaineer
Yeah.
or just, you know, a beginner.
Right. You can find something for every level.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And then there's the Terai region again.
Yeah.
With the wildlife and the safaris.
Right, like Chitwan and Bardia National Parks.
Yeah, with the Bengal tigers and the rhinos.
Those are incredible experiences.
Yeah, like you could be driving around in a Jeep and just see a tiger.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to encounter.
Oh my gosh.
It's thrilling.
It's like stepping back in time.
In a way it is.
But it also makes you think about...
conservation.
Yeah.
Making sure those animals are protected.
Yeah, because it can't just be about like...
exploiting them.
Yeah, ticking them off a list.
Exactly.
And that brings us to ecotourism.
Right.
Because there's definitely a growing awareness
Yeah.
of the need to protect Nepal's natural beauty
Absolutely.
while still letting people experience it.
And that's where something like the Annapurna Conservation Area Project comes in.
Yeah, the ACP
Yeah, that's a great example.
of responsible tourism.
Yeah, it's all about community-based conservation.
Okay.
So the local communities are actually involved in the management and decision-making.
So they benefit directly.
Exactly. Yeah. It ensures that the money stays local
Okay.
and that environmental protection is a priority.
That's really cool.
It's a model that other places could learn from.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not just about the environment, though.
Yeah.
It's also about preserving the culture and the traditions.
Of those communities.
Exactly.
So it's like a holistic approach.
It is.
But even with those positive efforts,
Yeah.
there must be challenges facing tourism in Nepal.
Oh, there are definitely challenges.
Like what?
Well, one of the biggest ones is infrastructure,
Okay.
especially in more rural areas.
Right, because it's a developing country.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there are things like natural disasters.
Yeah, the sources mentioned the 2015 earthquake.
Right. That was devastating.
Yeah, and it hit popular tourist areas, too.
It did.
So I imagine that set back the tourism industry.
It did, but the Nepalese people are incredibly resilient.
Yeah.
They rebuilt
Yeah.
and they welcome tourists back
It shows how important tourism is.
to their economy.
Yeah.
But it also shows their strength.
Yeah, and it's not just about rebuilding buildings.
Right.
It's about restoring confidence. Showing the world that Nepal is still safe.
And incredible.
Value for visitors.
Absolutely.
But it's a reminder that tourism is vulnerable
Yeah.
to things outside of our control.
Like natural disasters
Yeah.
or even pandemics.
Yeah, like COVID
Exactly. That had a huge impact
on global travel.
everywhere.
Yeah, but it also showed how adaptable the industry can be.
Right.
Like we saw more virtual tours and staycations.
And a bigger focus on sustainability.
So maybe there were some positive outcomes
Yeah. Maybe some lessons learned.
about how to do tourism better.
Right. More responsibly.
Yeah.
So while there are challenges,
Yeah.
there's also potential.
For the future of tourism in Nepal.
Absolutely.
And that's a good segue, I think,
Yeah.
into what that future might look like.
Yeah. What steps can Nepal take
To make sure tourism benefits everyone.
and protects their heritage?
Yeah, it's a balancing act.
It is.
There's a lot at stake.
For sure. But it's a conversation worth having.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. From those incredible mountains
Yeah.
to the cultural diversity and the challenges facing tourism.
It's complex.
Yeah, but what about the future?
Right. Where does Nepal go from here?
Yeah, what does tourism look like in 5, 10, 20 years?
Well, the sources actually point to some pretty cool ideas.
Well, yeah.
It's not just about attracting more tourists.
Okay.
It's about the right kind of tourist.
Sustainable.
Exactly.
Yeah, one thing that kept coming up was diversification.
Right.
Like, there's so much more to Nepal.
Than just Everest.
Yeah, exactly.
And the trekking.
Like, what else?
Well, they were talking about agro-tourism.
Agrotourism.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's like getting a taste of rural life.
Okay.
You know, learning about farming.
Okay.
Maybe even trying it yourself.
Like planting rice.
Yeah, or harvesting crops.
Oh, wow.
It's a way to connect with the land.
And the people.
Yeah, and it spreads the benefits to more rural communities.
That's a great idea.
And then there's wellness tourism. Yoga retreats, meditation centers.
Nepal seems perfect for that.
It is, you know, the scenery, the spirituality.
Yeah, just imagine like a yoga class.
Yeah.
With the Himalayas in the background.
So peaceful.
Right.
And don't forget about the cultural experiences.
Yeah.
There's so much to explore.
Beyond like the typical tourist spots.
Right. Like ancient temples,
Okay.
monasteries,
Okay.
vibrant festivals.
Yeah.
You can really immerse yourself
Yeah.
in the local traditions.
It's like you said earlier,
Yeah.
experiencing the heart and soul of Nepal.
Exactly.
But it can't just be about the experiences.
Right. Sustainability is key
Yeah, and that was another thing that really stood out.
in the sources
Yeah, Nepal seems committed.
to doing things the right way.
Yeah, like investing in renewable energy and
Yeah.
eco-friendly practices.
Minimizing their impact.
It's encouraging.
It is. And then there's the community-based tourism,
Right. We talked about that.
the ACAP,
Yeah, that's where locals are empowered.
to manage their own tourism.
Yeah.
So they benefit directly
And they have a say.
in how things develop.
It's a win-win.
Exactly.
Mm.
Tourists get a more authentic experience.
Yeah.
And communities get to preserve their way of life.
So it seems like Nepal is trying to find that balance
Yeah.
between economic growth,
Yeah.
cultural preservation,
Yeah.
and environmental sustainability.
It's a lot to juggle,
It is.
but it's the way forward.
I think so.
It's not just about Nepal either.
Right.
This is a global issue.
It is. We all have a role to play.
As travelers,
Part of it.
as
Yeah,
citizens.
and as human beings.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about visiting Nepal,
Think about your impact.
yeah, support local businesses,
Respect local customs.
respect local customs,
Minimize your footprint.
leave a positive legacy.
And ask yourself,
What kind of traveler do I want to be?
Yeah.
What kind of world do I want to create?
wow, that's a great question to end on.
I think so.
It's something we should all be asking ourselves,
You
no
should.
matter where we travel.
Absolutely.
So thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Nepal.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I've learned a lot.
Me too.
And hopefully our listeners have too.
I hope so.
And who knows, maybe we'll all be inspired,
Yeah.
be more responsible travelers.
And better global citizens.
Absolutely. All right, that's it for this episode.
Until next time.